And so we know there's many studies out now of how much music affects us, not just emotionally, but physically. Studies are out that music lowers blood pressure, music relieves pain, music relieves anxiety, it increases our endorphin levels, increases oxygenation of the blood, it accelerates surgical recovery. I mean, there's an endless amount of studies out there. But the benefits of a live therapeutic music, which is my talk today, is that in the bedside, one-on-one, we can adjust the music. We can adjust it to suit, so it meets the patient. Now, don't ever call me a music therapist. You'll make all the music therapists really mad. I play therapeutic music. I'm a music practitioner. Music therapy actively engages the patient to work towards goals using music. A music practitioner, we're creating a healing environment with the music that we choose. The patient does not have to respond. The patient can be comatose. As long as a family member gives consent, I can play. Or the patient may just want to sit up in bed and sing some tunes. So there's a wide variety, which is part of the challenge. I go in with my harp and without music, and I meet the patient where they are. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the tools of music that are used in that setting. How many of you played an instrument or sang in a chorus? Okay, a lot of you. So this is not news to any of you. But elements of music, a very basic element is rhythm. So is that rhythm? Is it a steady rhythm? Is it a changing rhythm? How do we use rhythm? Another tool that we use is harmony, especially if you're on a harp or the guitar. What kind of intervals? Now, earlier, Robbie, yes, was on talked about, she had several intervals she played for us. So, those are the fifths. Here's a fourth. Now, the difference between a major and a minor is how we play the third. So we have it's bright major. It's a minor. It's more thoughtful inward. Okay. So one of the reasons I like to play with fifths in a lot of my music is that the patient can add that major or minor. It's really important when you have a patient that is not responsive, that we do no harm. Have you ever been really sick? Too sick to open your eyes and watch TV or a screen, and all you can do is just lay there? And next time that happens to you, see what music appeals to you. You may find really high, those things that you normally like might be way overstimulating, or certain high notes just might give you a headache. So when we're working with a patient that can't respond to us, whether it's cognitive or consciously respond, it's important to be very minimalistic in what I do. And that's something that you can take with, if you're with someone at the bedside, to think about music. Now, some classical, we think of classical music as being, good for everything, but some of it's very stimulating. There's a lot of notes going on there. And it can be actually, even when I'm healthy, it can be overstimulating to me. So I end up in the harp choosing music that I'm drawn to. It ends up being a lot of Celtic, Scottish, Irish, Gaelic things, and that's the kind of tones. And I love the way the harp reverberates. So how will we see? We put this together. There's rhythm, there's melody, there's harmonies, major, minor, there's the intervals. There's volume, how soft or loud. There's phrasing. And then there's lyrics. I will add sometimes singing. That is an element of music. Did I miss anything?
Pace.
Pardon?
Pace.
Pace, that's tempo. Yeah, exactly. That's the beat, the rhythm. So I'll give you an example. One thing that we're taught when I'm training is, if we're really wanting to work on keeping if someone's having issues with their heart rate or needing to stay in their body, we want to play to the heartbeat. So they say, that's 50 to 70 beats a minute. Well, one of the times I was going into play for a patient, and because I was doing my work in Baroque, there's not a lot of, if people are really, really sick, they go to other hospitals, so often there's not monitors. But I was in a patient's room who was monitored, and I'm trying to play. And, that 50 to 70 resting heart rate that, I practiced with, this person was between 90 and 120. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. So we watched the breath. The breath is a rhythm. So I set my intention to watch the breath of the patient and play to that breath. And there was a rhythm there. And this was in my practicum when I'm, in my student training. And I found that if I looked at that monitor too much, I was getting way too focused on the monitor, not the patient. You had that experience, the doctors go in and everybody's all about getting your information on the computer and they don't look at you. So I want to get away from that. And then when I look at, I can't see their heart rate, but I can see their respiration. So that's more what I attune to now, is the rhythm of that breath, whether it's 2 beats or 1 beat. Yeah. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing is the patient alert, cheerful? Is the patient anxious or troubled? And that will determine whether we play in minor or major. Have you ever been in a really rotten mood and someone's really cheerful and you want to slap them? We don't want to do that with the music. We like to meet people where they are, and then we can, and train with them and then shift if it feels right. So there's a combination, like you were talking about, Raleigh, of principles and then how you interact with those principles when you have a patient in front of you. So I will give you an example, if I've got my harp here. So if I'm wanting to, what key I'm in, so this is my harp. It's a Jolie hybrid harp, 34 strings. Those of you who haven't seen too many harps, the big concert harps, they have pedals on the floor, which is how you change. The harp is like a piano, except it only has only white keys. So if you want those black keys, those sharps or flats, on the big harps you use pedals, and on the lever harps you use levers. So that's about 60 beats a minute. Feeling anxious or wanting to go to sleep, that just might be too. So I can take that same song and loosen it up, loosely structured, as we call it. this is my favorite versions to play. I have a hard time with the steady rhythms. But it allows the strings to ring. Can you feel those vibrations as the strings were ringing? And I get the full benefit back here because I'm right here behind the soundboard. And, you know, I can feel them in my head and in my whole body. And that's an interesting thing, too, is that you don't have to hear to get the benefits of live music. The vibration from the instrument is felt by your skin and your bones. It's felt by your whole body. And so you don't have to have ears that can hear in order to benefit from that. And it's interesting that I've had people say, well, this patient's hard of hearing. And I will go in and play and sing a familiar tune, and they'll start singing the lyrics with me. Because the kind of hearing it takes to tune into voices and the kind of hearing where you're feeling it in your whole body, it's different. And so, you know, the music is something that we're all very sensitive and wired to. Another is a condition that I play for more often these days is through hospice and hospice patients. And they can be all on a full spectrum of, you know, just because you're in hospice doesn't mean that you're having a bad day. I mean, you aren't necessarily even needing care for a while. So there's but we might be dealing with pain and anxiety. And then there's people that are closer to dying. And so when people are imminently dying, and this is where I was talking about the importance of not doing any harm. If I can't see a response and that person can't get any response, then I'll be very careful. And that's playing more tones than songs. So that song that I played for you before, that could just turn into again, watching the breath. So it's very different. It's very, let the vibrations ring and let the work through the patient, watching the breath and watching for any reactions that might tell me to change what I'm doing. So that's, the harp is a wonderful instrument because of its resonance, because of the wide, many notes that I can play and the harmonies that can do in a beautiful tone. So what I would envision going forward, every hospital, nursing home, assisted living should have a staff musician. Because we know that patients need fewer drugs when they're in pain, they sleep better, and live music can be adjusted to the person in front of you. So, and for me right now, I got my certification in March, and I want to develop a music practice, either in the home, at the bedside of the home patient, or in nursing home. So I would ask for your assistance in any recommendations if you know of an institution or a program that would be open to having healing music. My brochures are out there, and thank you for your attention.